Sonic Movie Show is a weekly show that you can find on a variety of podcast services. Keep up with us by following our Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sonic Movie Show, the only show that's about Sonic news, and Sonic movie news. My name is Ethan, and with me here, as always, and as usual, and also sometimes, is Devin. He's trying.
I can't find it. I had a quote written, but now I can't find it. Something about the handsome Greeks, so.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so that's, we watched, you know what could someone think this video game movie was? If they didn't read the title and you said Grease, what kind of movie could this have been?
I mean, to be fair, it's like Pandora's box at the end, which I guess is from Greek mythology. So, in a way, it kind of ties in. But if you just told me Grease, I'd be like,
Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed,
yeah,
something.
Something with the gods of some sort, for sure.
Kid Icarus. They make a movie about that. Phoenix Immortals Rising. That's the name of that game, right? In any case, on this week's episode of the Sonic Movie Show, we're going to be talking about a movie released in the year of... I have to find it. This week on the Sonic Movie Show, we're talking about a 2003 film called Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, the sequel to the 2001 movie called Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. This movie made... So, okay, I'm gonna make you guess here. The first Lara Croft, Tomb Raider movie made $274 million. How much do you think that this movie made?
230.
$156 million. Yeah, a significant step
Big
down.
oof. Everyone was so worried about the war in Iraq at this point.
Yeah, actually, because the Lara
Who
Croft
gives a
Tomb
fuck
Raider
about
movie,
Greece?
even though it was in 2001, was in the first half of 2001.
Who gives a fuck about Africa? If it ain't in the Middle East, I don't
that's
care.
More than 100 million less. And
that's
like
insane.
Watching this, I'm like, okay, yeah, these movies aren't great, but like, why did they stop making these? They're at least like
There's
bankable. There's my answer. Is it made significantly less money? It's a huge step down. Starring Angelina Jolie. Runtime is a little bit longer than the last one, but overall, in my opinion, and maybe yours differs, this movie like goes at a quicker pace, it feels like, than the other one for sure.
Yeah,
it's way more straightforward.
The first one dragged a couple of times. This one, at least, even in a way, I feel like it was in a way bad, but at least it kept moving. It jumped around a lot, and I think that's actually bad because there's too much jumping around. There's a lot of just entrances that were like, I'm like, what? This it's much more ridiculous. This one's a little bit more ridiculous, and I think it's actually more of a negative for me because it's just I didn't know what this movie was trying to do a lot, and there's one big plot hole that I will talk about when we get to it that like just for some reason really bothered me.
I'm interested to see because I don't know what your plot hole is. So it's interesting. I guess I'll get to find out.
Maybe you'll remember differently. Like maybe there's some point that I missed, but I had another person watching it with me, so I was just like, "Am I crazy?" Or like, "Why don't they just do this?" Oh, you're right. Okay.
Oh, smash the orb. Is
Close.
that what you're gonna say?
Throw the orb in the motherfucking ocean. And why are we looking for it? Why? What's the end goal here?
She has no desire for the Pandora's box itself, so why the hell didn't she like destroy the orb?
Why is she after this?
When they're on that ship, and he picks up, I don't even know his fucking name, but man, dude, has the orb, and she's like,
Sully.
Are you gonna try to steal it? And I thought he was gonna be like, let's destroy it. Why do we have this? You know what I mean? It's a map to the thing. If they don't hit this, they don't get to find the thing. It's basic, like, MacGuffin type stuff. We don't want the MacGuffin.
I guess I'll just say it now. It bothered me. Like, I hate to be the CinemaSins guy. Like, I understand it's a movie. Try not to think about it too much. This movie is ridiculous. I will say there's a lot of crazy shit that happens, and I'm like, okay, like, sure, I'll let that slide. But the biggest thing, I'm just like, why is she looking for this? It's not for money. She makes that clear. And then it turns into, no, I need to stop them. I'm like, you have the key. Destroy the key. What are they going to do? Destroy it. Throw it in the ocean. Throw it in the deepest part of the ocean. You're an explorer. You should know where that is. Throw it in the water.
Just smash it.
She was always like a day ahead of them until like the latter part of the film.
Yeah.
Just throw it in the water, and then if they capture you, you just be like, I threw in the ocean. Good luck.
What's also maybe I'm wrong here too. Nowhere in the point of this movie, up until the bad guy's dead and it's just the two of them with the box, do we ever, at least in my opinion, are told or shown what their opinions are of the box. Like, yeah, obviously
he wanted
we
it
the
for
viewer,
money, and she's like, no, it's too dangerous. I'm like, then why were you searching for this to begin with?
Exactly.
Especially after the events of the first one, where a statue can come alive.
And
so why isn't it not that far-fetched to believe that there's a box that sends a disease out that can kill everybody?
And what's crazy to me is that the whole point up to the movie, I had, like, my opinion of these two characters' view of the box was reversed. Like, again, I expected him to be like, let's destroy the orb, for some reason, I guess. And I expected her to be like, no, I need to find this treasure. I'm an egomaniac rich woman that's just going to poor people nations and not giving them
she
money.
She is the Elon Musk of adventure. She has nothing that she's like, I am
she
rich,
has no
so
personality.
I'm just gonna explore because it's fun and also kill a lot of people in the process.
I'm gonna make
put
friends
a lot of
every
other people
at
risk. Make all my friends at risk. But whatever. We're getting into like just bashing.
When they land in China and we see this, I don't know, maybe it's not necessarily poor by the standards of the area, but that farm, and she knows the woman, she's like, she hugs them, so like obviously she's a longtime friend of hers, and like she had gotten in contact with her ahead of time. Oh, I have your bike, and I tuned up your bike, and I got your guns, and I got your knives, and I got your clothes. It's like, give this woman a tip. Why is she living here? You can afford to like just give her a bunch of money. Maybe she does, but like obviously
farm. She owns the land or something. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe maybe Lara Croft took care of a problem for her in the sense of like, hey, you own this land forever. The government can't take it. Maybe it's something like that. But that was just my impression the whole time. She's just going from third world country to third world country, skipping stones wherever she goes. You know what I mean? Blowing shit up.
A lot of people die, by the way, for like no reason, and all of it could stem back to just throw it in the ocean. No, you would have saved at least 50 people's lives, and also not committed, arson, and you destroyed property.
Now, we both, when we watched Lara Croft Tomb Raider back in episode 39 of the Sonic Movie Show,
it feels just like yesterday. It's wild.
It does feel like yesterday. Maybe because it was.
Whoa.
We walked away with the impression that she's an asshole, right? We didn't think like, oh, she's like, you know what I mean? Like, like this, she's
not like
but like
she's not a bad person, really, but she's not a good person either. She
just doesn't give a shit.
Someone with a lot of money and nothing else to do.
What sold it to me in this movie, especially, is she is flying this hyperspace super tech airplane with Manboy. I don't know his name. What'd you call him? The main dude with her.
That's Gerard Butler.
Huh?
That's the actor, Gerard Butler.
I don't know who that is. Whatever. We'll call
what do you mean you don't know who Gerard Butler is?
What's he been in?
300.
What else?
Other shit. He's been in shit you've seen before.
Okay, well, I don't know the name. I'm not saying, like, who the fuck is he?
All the London and Fallen movies. Olympus Has Fallen. Phantom of the Opera. Gods of Egypt.
Never saw that.
Geostorm. All right, don't sleep on
that. Maybe this is why I don't know who fucking Gerard Butler is. But anyway, back to my point. She's in this new tech airplane with him, with Gerard Butler or whatever his name is. Never saw that either. The two of them are flying, and they're landing in China, and they break it apart, and they're flying over this lake, and they swoosh right over this fisherman in the boat. And then they eject and parachute away and let the thing smash into a mountain, sending pieces of it flying everywhere. These people are assholes.
millions of
I don't give a
dollars.
shit about the plane and how much they spent on it. Just the fact that we're gonna fly a plane into another country and blow it up on a mountain, and so we compare. You can't even land the thing. You guys are reckless assholes. Like, Jesus. And part of her, before we get into the recap, one last thing I want to bring up. Her character sucks. In the senses that we were just saying, right? And I had an epiphany watching this. I'm like, I think this is why one of the reasons why I liked Resident Evil Apocalypse so much is that with Jill Valentine starts off basically just being Lara Croft here. The bad bitch. She's always smart. She always knows exactly what to do. But she's immediately humbled, and then like, there's not a whole lot of growth, but like that's immediately taken away from her, and then like, oh, she's now a part of the team, more of a team player type of person. I don't know. I'm out of my element, and I'm not acting like I'm in my element. And I liked that in that movie, even though it might not have been very like focused and on point, like the reason, But like, I'm thinking back now, watching this movie, I'm like, Jill Valentine was just Lara Croft, and then they got rid of that aspect of her, and maybe that's why I like that movie, because the whole time in this fucking movie, Lara Croft sucks. She just sucks.
And she kind of just like gets away with a lot.
Yeah.
And like, but it also, I guess it's a thin line between being like, I appreciate like someone being like really good, or like being good at what they do, and in a movie, or like an action hero being like always one step ahead of the enemy and whatnot. I do appreciate that, but she just does it in a way that like
she's. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
I think what you're trying, the thread you're pulling at here, nothing she gets a revelation of or does super cool is ever shown in a way where it's as if she earned it. She is just great. She's not like, she never struggles. She never has to really like combat a puzzle in her mind that racks her brain until she finally overcomes it. Nothing. She's just like, I already knew how to do this. Oh, this weird situation? Surprise, motherfuckers. I have the answer right here. It's all that kind of shit. She's not interesting.
Yeah.
She's just not.
You summed it up perfectly. I didn't want to make it seem, though, either that, like, because it could easily turn into the angry YouTuber woman character. Oh, she could do everything? Are you serious? Like, I didn't want to turn into that. So I want to make that clear that, like, I do think it is cool, though, that, like, she is, I think, badass, at least, for the most part. I like how she beats up dudes, and she doesn't, for the most part, I don't think she needs any help from anyone in the movie, really, besides just, like, hey, can you look up where this dude is, or can you hack the mainframe? Like, just shit like that, where, like, okay, cool. Or, like, can you watch my back for a second? But, like, I'm going to do the action, which I think is good, I will say. I think that was one prop I gave to the first movie, is that, like, for the most part, she did everything herself, and she saved herself, or not saved herself. She was the main one doing things, and it wasn't like she really needed assistance with anything. Like, she could have been in there by herself, and she would have been fine, which I think is cool. But
at the same time,
but it is uninteresting in a way.
It makes her uninteresting. But I agree with you. I have no qualms with that aspect. I think it just could have been executed better, where it wasn't like, you know what I mean, just like a smarmy type of character the whole time, and it's like, you foolish audience member, if you didn't think I was going to be able to do this, kind of an attitude about it.
The only time it was ever in doubt for her was like when even I was going to say the ending, where like, is she going to do it? Like, no, she still kills him anyway. She's like, it just took her a couple extra seconds, and it wasn't as dramatic as you think it would be. But
I must have missed a part where, like, well, we'll get to it in the recap, but like, when she first pulls a gun on him, I'm like, wait, why is she doing this? Did I not pay attention? Did he say something she didn't like?
He's a mercenary, so he's like very dangerous, and I think in the past he's done things that she's not okay with. They kind of hint at that. They were dating for like 6 months, they said, or whatever, but I think the differences between them was like, oh, I'm an adventurer, when he's more of
a contract killer.
Yeah, more cold-blooded than she is, even though I think they both are.
I mean, again,
kill
nothing
people,
in this movie has
whether it's
done
directly
much
or
to
indirectly, they
humanize
both
her.
do it. So
even she's barely humanized. Even when she goes into a family's house to use their TV for a video conference, she's kind of not nice. Like, yeah, she's not mean, but like, it's just like a weird, like, I don't know. In any case,
I just took, for me, that scene. I guess we'll wait till we get there, but I think that was fine. I didn't think it was. I didn't really have a negative with that scene. Maybe
it just struck me as weird. Of like, you're not even going to say anything to this family besides, "Can I borrow your TV?" and then thank you or whatever. It was just weird to me. But in any case, we get all of our logos in the water. I'm like, oh, this is a kind of a cool idea. Why the water though? Who knows? Then this is the weirdest. One of the weirdest before title, like big like title intro credits type of thing. I forget. I don't know how I'm trying to say this, but lots of things where like the movie starts and there's action and there's stuff going on. And then it's like bam bam. Here's the title of the movie. Here we go. Right.
It was lame. Just say it.
It's like
lame.
a party.
It's a wedding.
Random party.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, it's in Greece, one of the most beautiful places in the world. Like, I would love to go to where that is. I know it's somewhere in Greece, but
yeah, it's Windmill Island from Sonic the Hedgehog Unleashed.
And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, this should be neat. Is she going to be here, like, getting treasure or something? That's what I
just
thought.
At the wedding.
No, it's just at some random wedding, and then they play some crappy early 2000s song, and I'm like, wow, it's like, if I was here for this wedding, I would have ditched and been like, I'm going to explore, like, this historical area instead of being here listening to this garbage music.
And of course, they're in a very dangerous area where all it takes is someone with a subwoofer of any kind to just cause an avalanche. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and then there's a big earthquake, and then like the rocks fall. And I will say, up to this point, I was like, okay, visuals look good. It looked like they did a helicopter low shot up until Greece. And I'm like, that's cool. And then all of a sudden, it shows these terribly CGI'd rocks falling in, and the logo appears underwater, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's
like, it's just very muddy. It felt gross, in a way. I'm just like, they should have just did the title at the very beginning with the water in the background. That would have been fine. But now they're like, what if it was underwater and rocks are falling and the rock exploded into the title?
The reason why they need to have the rocks falling is because it's not actually the music. Even though that would your first time viewing, you'd be like, oh wow, this kid's like radio or whatever, his DJ equipment is causing this avalanche. No, it was the earthquake because they were tracking an epicenter and there was an aftershock when they're in the temple. But like, I didn't realize that until this sentence where I say it out loud, because I just now realized that. Because up until then, I'm like, why is this random scene here? Aren't she in Greece?
It does feel random, yeah. And then we don't ever even learn about that. Like, okay, like it seemed like people got hurt or like homes. Really old homes are destroyed.
Give a shit.
It won't matter, bruh. I'm here to get treasure.
Exactly. We actually don't understand any of her motivations at all.
Besides, I want to be a hero, but also, once again, I'm going to run around with a dangerous item instead of just disposing of it.
Yeah, I need to prove to myself. I mean, because her story about, her father being murdered and all that stuff was all wrapped up. She has no personal story anymore unless they want to introduce a dark, handsome, tall man from her past. You know what I mean? Besides that, they got nothing. They clearly couldn't think of anything. You know what I mean? They literally had the Illuminati and like the legacy of your father type of story. I forgot it was the
Illuminati.
You know what I mean?
And her dad being involved with that, yeah. So yeah, now it's just like my ex-boyfriend who is kind of scary.
And like,
but he's so fucking hot, so it's like, damn, it's like, I guess that's a plot.
And his hang up is he just wants to know if he was one of my best lays. That's the only thing he wants to know. You know what I mean? But like, okay, so we've talked about it in episode 39 about the first movie, and that this movie clearly is trying to sell Angelina Jolie's sexuality and Lara Croft's sexuality in the movie, right? This movie opens it up like 10 times more, where it's just like, not even trying to hide it. Why is she on a jet ski in a bikini? Because they want to show
not
her
like
sexuality.
Just a normal like bodysuit you'd probably wear in that instance. Like, no, she's wearing a nice bikini.
Well, yeah, and then she puts on the wetsuit in the movie's poster or whatever. But like they just need it, you know what I mean? There's plenty of scenes where she's in a different outfit every single time. Like, ooh,
yeah,
you know.
There's one outfit that I really dug on her though, which was when she was riding the horse.
Oh yeah,
I thought that scene. I'm like, besides the
crop
music,
rider, I think is what you would.
Yeah,
call
but
that
she was
outfit.
riding it side saddle there with a gun. I'm like, I know. I'm pretty sure it's like an Olympic sport or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, damn, that's impressive. I wonder if she actually did that. But I did like her outfit in that. So +1 for that.
There's
outfit.
a few things where I'm like, obviously she had to be choreographed. The I don't know what martial art you would call it, but when she's practicing with the bow staff with the actual Butler, not Gerard Butler, in their library.
Yeah.
That, and there's a random scene where she's on the phone and she's just flipping a butterfly knife open and close, back and forth,
like Octane.
Exactly, just like Octane from the Apex Legends. But obviously, that's not a stunt double. Like, yeah, she might not have been the one riding the motorcycle in some of the jumps. That might have been a stunt double, but like, at least they had her for like a minute on camera flipping this butterfly knife perfectly.
I
want to
learn how to do that.
I have one. I don't know how to use it, but I learned at one point.
The Octane spin,
I was always too afraid of just grasping the blade by accident.
Oh, you
that
fucked your hand up, yeah.
Yeah. My blade is dull though, but yeah. So yeah, she's with some boys, and they're gonna go find this ancient temple that Alexander the Great apparently visited. And then they get on their scuba diving suits, and then they get on their special underwater vehicles. I don't know what you call them. An underwater jet ski, I guess.
I've seen them before in other stuff. I just don't know what they're called.
Yeah. They visit the temple.
They saw a shark, by the way.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Yep.
We're in the temple.
Didn't attack them.
We're in the temple. They're like, wow, look, a bunch of stuff that we can sell for a lot of money. Don't you want any of this, Lara Croft? No, I'm here for special reasons. And they're like, okay, it's cool, because we're good friends, and you're really smart, and we appreciate you, and you seem to appreciate us, so it's all cool. What you're looking for might be 10 times more valuable than the stuff we have here, but you know what? I'm happy. Why are they like this? Because they can kill them off right away.
I'm looking for a box that will kill everybody. Sounds great. Okay, I'll take this.
I'll just take my
treasure that's worth
fork.
$2,000 or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this paid my bills for a year, so I'll be fine with this. I'm here for destruction. I'm going to climb the chandelier. Do a couple somersaults on it for no reason instead of just scooching over. But yeah, she climbs up, grabs the thing, and then secret boys pop up out of the water, kill the other boys that are our boys.
Yeah, it was like some Chinese group that we learn about later on that was involved.
Some gang.
And yeah, they shoot harpoons at her, which is actually scarier than bullets, I will say.
I will say the physics of this, as we talked about in the Chronicles of Diesel episode about Saving Private Ryan, bullet penetration in water is very slow, and the speed drops off almost immediately. You can't shoot someone underwater that is more than 10 feet away from you and have it be fatal. It might penetrate the skin, though, but it's going to be very minimal, or otherwise it will just kind of like just hit you and make a bruise. Harpoons, on the other hand, because of their very long shaft, I mean, that's what we use to kill undersea animals.
Yeah.
That actually works. So I even though obviously they were in wetsuits and that thematically made sense for them to do that, it does make sense in that instance.
No, I like that. The fact that they didn't just use guns or whatnot like you would see. They used harpoons.
She used a gun, and her gun was badass. It was a like literal hand cannon type of just kapow, kapow. She tosses
like a little mini shotgun or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. She kills a few, runs away, calls out a distress beacon, and then collapses on some driftwood. And then what I thought was a whale and was actually a submarine.
You forgot to say that she rode a shark.
Oh yeah, she punches it in the face because it was moving. And
it's funny, as I called it, as soon as she cut her like wrist, I looked over to Bryn. I'm like, she's gonna ride that shark. And she's like, no, she's not. And then like 5 seconds go by, and then the shark's coming. She's like, God damn it! I'm just like, I told you. And I'm like. Because that's the thing with Tomb Raider, like the games, at least from what I know of, is that she has like encounters with wildlife as opposed to like Uncharted or Indiana Jones for the most part. That I think is, I guess not Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones has like a couple instances where they ride or they don't ride monkeys. They swing with monkeys, or they encounter snakes. But Tomb Raider, I think, for like the adventure kind of genre, I think is one of the few that like really does not a good job of being different in the sense that they encounter animals species. More. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is a good point.
It's still goofy as hell, but that's when I knew like right away. I'm like, okay, this movie's gonna be weird. And then of course there's a submarine. It's just like I can't imagine writing this in the script.
And these are people that she knows.
Yeah,
because it's MI6, or no, that's not MI6. MI6 visits her house, but it's just people that she knows. And then
a submarine.
Then we get her list of skills montage where like she can ride horseback and shoot super targets, and she can beat up her butler with a stick, and she can do this and she can do that, and she ain't a hacker though. That's why she's got the guy that lives in the RV outside, which they don't show that aspect of his life anymore.
While you were studying the horseback, I was learning to be a hacker.
Yeah. While you were studying, I was learning the way of the sword. MI6 now shows up, and she's like, has a cool line of like, no, T is for guests. Intruders get shown the door, and like, we're actually the government, and we're gonna we know the guys that shot you with harpoons. Want to help us kill them? Like, I guess
they killed your friends, I feel like you'd want a little bit more revenge, but you know,
I just want the orb. It's mine. It's one thing too. She has such a possessive attitude towards these ancient relics, where she's like, "It's mine, and I want it back. It's not yours." It's
actually that wherever area it is, that I think it's actually theirs. I think that's how that would work. I mean, but that just goes back to white people pillaging history and putting it in museums for show.
So the first movie, they wanted, was it literally an Illuminati triangle they were trying to make? What were they trying to make?
They're to change time or whatever it was. Remember, it was like they could reverse time and whatnot with it. So I think
I'm trying to think if this movie and that movie clashes in its how the world was created view, or if it does work out. I guess
it's just some big threat, worldly threat.
Everything's fucked.
But I guess like now that I'm thinking about it with that scene too, like they don't threaten her, but they're like, oh, like, if you don't do this, I feel like it was kind of a threat, but I don't remember what the threat was. Was there a threat?
I don't think so. I think it was just...
Because I'm like, maybe that's the one way where like, okay, you have to go get the orb for us. It's like, but still it goes back to my thing. It's like, if it's so scary and deadly, the best case scenario is to just...
Well, I think MI6...
best decision is to just dump it in the ocean.
MI6 just wants the bad guys taken down. I don't think they wanted the orb.
Oh yeah, she wanted the treasure. And revenge, I guess, for her dead crewmen.
Maybe she thought that Pandora's box was figurative, and it was literally just treasure.
But there's a point halfway through the movie, she's like, oh, wait, no, this is legit. Once I learned that the bad guys are looking for it. What's his name, who's been in a lot of stuff as well. It wants to basically make COVID... The whole time he was like, oh, I'm going to make some crazy virus that only I have the antidote for and sell it to the highest bidder. I'm like, oh, how crazy and relevant.
Oh, it's crazy, too. I guess we'll cut here now. We introduce to ourselves bad guys on the plane, and bad guys poisoning other guy with Ebola.
Yeah, which is like 10 years early. Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm like, Jesus.
And also, plot hole, he has the antidote. Antidotes don't, I guess, work like that. You can't just get a virus and you put a shot in you and you're good.
Right.
Like, maybe you can do a steroid shot or something, but even then, that's not going to be instant. So the fact that, like, he's like, yep, it's Ebola, but it's acting like 10 million times faster, so you just die instantly. He's like, but I have a cure for it. I'm like, that's not how it works, but whatever. This movie's already ridiculous. She rode a shark and a submarine saved her. So, yeah.
So now she's... Where does she go? Oh, yeah, MI6 tells her that her ex-boyfriend they have in prison. And she's like, oh, I'll get him out, I guess. Let's go get him out.
He has a connection to the one gang if they need to.
Exactly. Who have the orb. So she meets him. He's doing pull-ups on the ceiling of his cell. And he like tries to kiss her, and she's like, "You probably stink."
Yeah, you've been in here for how long?
Yeah. Then we go to China. Right?
Did we go to China? Yeah. Well,
then we take
because then she's like,
jet.
"You're gonna come with me because if you don't, I have the right to kill you." Which is, I'm like, "Oh, great."
And you have 5 million pounds if you want it.
Yeah, and a new name or whatever. Like, he gets like a second chance at
Yeah.
life, which once again, the ending doesn't make sense to that. Like, I'd rather take the $5 million, whatever it was,
exactly,
and a new life. You're basically, whatever you did before it's
gone.
wiped clean.
And you have 5
But instead
million.
you want the box that can kill everybody and give it to someone, the highest bidder, and then potentially that comes back to hurt you and probably kill you because it's a virus or whatever it was. It's the plague.
The only reason why he had to die is because the movie needed the main character to grow somehow, and reaffirming to her that she can do it. If she needs to take someone's life to save the world, no matter how close they are, she can do it. But at the same time, that also makes her like she can never.
That's not
she
relatable.
proved to herself.
That's
She
also
proved
not
to herself that
relatable.
she should never get close to anyone. That's also what that proved. I honest to God thought it was going to be, you need to trust me. Let's destroy it. You know what I mean? I thought that was like, oh no,
Yeah.
she can get close to people.
That's not like a good trait to have. Be like, oh yeah, I should just not have any relationships with anybody. I should just be a rich person with
a
nothing else to
butler
do,
and a friend that sleeps outside.
not even in the mansion when you have 15 rooms in.
But again, the first movie, he says he actually chooses to. She has, it was that one scene where she's like, "Why don't you sleep in one of the 40 bedrooms we have?"
If I was still, I would be like, no, you're sleeping in this mansion. I have 15 rooms. Pick one. You're not sleeping outside. That's weird, bro.
I get lonely.
Yeah,
You never come in and talk. Yeah. At the same time, she treats him like shit throughout these movies too, so I don't give a fuck. He doesn't stick up for himself. Maybe they have sex every now and then. Maybe that's why he sticks around.
Yeah.
But where were we?
They go to China.
Yeah,
that's where you get the plane crash.
Yep. And
that's
then
where
the
you get
motorcycle.
And I will say, I like how they cut to like her just on the Great Wall of China. I'm like, how did she even get up there? And then she does like a jump, and I'm like, what if you like fuck that up? Then the whole mission is at risk. Like, you break your legs.
But the message of this movie is never fucking doubt Lara Croft.
But
she
not
can
even
do
him.
anything.
He's doing he's trying to do some crazy shit. They're trying to stunt on each other and try to like play almost like chicken, where they get real close with the bikes. And I'm like, this is a game to you.
They do it for...
But yeah, they keep saying like the stakes are so high. The stakes are so high. I'm like, then just drive normally on the road. Like, why are you doing all these risks, man?
They do the motorcycle shtick for like 2 minutes, and then they get off because they probably don't have enough budget to do more motorcycle tricks. And
I do like the bikes, though, I will say that. But then they there's a point where like she doesn't trust him, and then points the gun at him, and then all of a sudden the gang pops out with their AKs and all that, and they're captured.
Yeah. Because then he's like, oh, well, the only way to go to the gang is to have them to go as prisoners, essentially. So then they're there. I never realized that they were handcuffed, and I thought they were actually, like, friends. I read that entire scene wrong. It was, like, a tension, not, like, a lighthearted kind of scene. But,
well, it's because this whole movie, you never feel any tension because she's just going to get out of it.
Yeah. So, basically, this guy has the orb, this leader... And bad guys offered him a lot of money, and she's like, "Well, they're just gonna kill you, right?" And I'm audience member sitting here being like, "Yeah, they're just gonna kill you. So you need to think a little bit smarter about this, Mr. Gang Leader, who lives in like a cave."
Chenlo, I think is
sure. She's like, "I'll offer you double, and I won't kill you," or something like that. And he's like, "Oh, what if I kill you? Because then I'll get more money if I deliver your body." And so they fight, and she eventually does kill him because he can't have an honorable defeat, where she lets him live. But they fight. She's jumping on antique terracotta
And I will say, I at least appreciate
statues.
like she does commit to it. Like, yeah, you probably should kill him here, because he's just gonna chase you down too, or tell him the bad guys where you are.
Exactly. So then her and Buddy Boy break free, and they have the orb. And now they
This is where the movie ends, because you drop it in the ocean.
Exactly.
Or you keep it at your house, or you bury it. Something.
They could have kept it going if we wanted to go that route. They could have kept it going by MI6 being like, yeah, we need you to use this to get us to the bad guys so we can take them down. They're super dangerous weapon dealers. Then I believe that. But it's obviously not where this movie goes. They should have just smashed the orb. It looks like it's made out of fucking... It looks like it's a giant... No, not even that. Just like a plastic Lego piece. You know what I mean? Like, that's a Bionicle's eyeball. But,
it probably was. Or like some sort of marble or something at most.
Exactly. A candle. It's like made of wax and it's melted.
Yeah.
So they go back home, and Buddy Boy's analyzing it. Or no, right? Yeah, he's like, this is what I hate. I love and I hate about this genre of adventure stuff is that all of the relics, all these ancient maps and all this stuff, all this antique stuff from these ancient civilizations are somehow more advanced than what we have now. I honest to God, I don't really like... I like the idea of it, this undecipherable orb with all these dots, and it's a map.
The fact they need some crazy computer...
With an algorithm.
With a bunch of scientists. Like, instead of, like, moving... I like it when it's, like, moving pieces, like... It's like a key or something, or if you look at it a certain way in the light, it does something. That's cool. And like, that's something that's more... would have been used back then. Not like some algorithm that Alexander the Great or whoever it was figured out.
And why does it lead them to Kilimanjaro?
It was like coordinates or something, I think. I don't remember exactly what it
was. How? You know what I mean? Like, if anything, like, it would be a mystique of like, oh, this is like a... Because
it was showing different parts of the map, and they knew that it was like, it's some square somewhere.
Off.
So I don't think it was a coordinates, but it was just like here.
I think it'd be cool if like one of these types of relics was just like a left, right, up, left, right, down, or something like that, where it's like, where would this make sense? Let's find where this makes sense, and then we have a map, as opposed to just like, let's throw it through the super fucking computer, the IBM Watson. Let them figure it out. I'm smarter than 14th century Greece.
Yeah.
You know. In any case, they obviously don't know this yet, because they can't figure it out. And
they couldn't figure it out. They're like, it would take too long and whatnot.
How do they lose the orb?
And then, let me look at my...
They're never attacked at the mansion. They did that last movie.
I found my quote, by the way. Don't go looking at my ass. That was my other quote.
I remember
that. They go to Hong Kong next. Do they get the orb, or someone else gets the orb? I think they get the orb. The bad guys. I think like on the run they get the orb. Or something. Because the orb is getting scanned in Hong Kong in the supercomputer.
Okay. You're right. Huh.
But I think they got a piece of it or something. Or she took photos of it. That's what it was. It was photos.
There you go.
With the James Bond looking eyepiece. Yeah.
So yeah,
there you go. I knew it was Shanghai. Something like that.
You go to Shanghai, and
apparently the bad when they flew down the rope in that one scene, I'm like, their hands would be so torn up, and they're like, yeah, we're good.
Adventures, man. They're just all one giant callus. So they're in Shanghai. Apparently the bad guys have their operations in a mall. Hong Kong? They were in Shanghai somewhere, though.
Hong Kong. I wrote Hong Kong.
They went to Shanghai somewhere. But in any case, the bad guys live in the basement of a mall. There's humorous scenes of kids pressing all the buttons in an elevator of 6 floors. Then yeah, we do some sneaky deaky shit. We get in there. They're evaluating the orb. We take some people out. We pull the fire alarm. That's actually a wire on the floor. I'm sure that actually does make sense, but it's weird to me. I don't know why it makes sense.
And she's trying to get the more pictures of it, and that's when the bad guys come, and Gerard Butler has the chance to kill Jonathan Rice is the bad guy's name. Has a chance to kill him and doesn't, and I'm like, why doesn't he do that? And then you find out later that like he's playing both sides a little bit, trying to see where it goes out, how it plays out.
So dumb.
But I do like the stunt though that we get here, where they jump. I know it's obviously not Angelina Jolie and Gerard Butler, but I do like that. They do the stunt, and it looks like they really did it. Someone did it.
The wingsuit?
And they filmed it. The wingsuit, yeah.
Before we get to that, I will say it was cool to see them shooting all the guns and stuff and using, it was a decent, for its time, action set piece thing. But then, yeah, you're right. They do the wingsuit stuff. And my first thought was, like, they have to put on these wingsuits. They don't have time to take their clothes off and put on the wingsuits. Because I thought they were, like, wetsuits to be skin tight. Like, oh no, it's just giant baggy shit that they put over. Okay. Then you're right, they jump. And this was weirdly, like, the longest fucking scene in the entire movie to me, in my opinion. I felt like that went on for 4 hours, watching them slowly descend.
I actually liked it, though, because I knew it was a real stunt. If it's a real stunt, I will gladly have it filmed longer, because they're like, this is the big part of the movie, one of the bigger parts of the movie. I remember when this movie came out, I didn't see it in theaters, but I did remember watching the trailer and them showing them doing the skydiving. And I was like, that's crazy. That's dope. So like maybe it dragged out a little bit too long. But we even saw that in Triple X, where like they had it in slow-mo when Vin jumps the car off the bridge. Yeah, and it's like, whatever. I kind of like it in a way where it's like, this is the big stunt of the movie. Let's show it off a little. Maybe a little too long. Let's do it. So I'm like, I'm okay with it. I don't know. Every time I watch people do wingsuits, though, I'm like, what if they just go straight down? Like, it just doesn't work. Who was the first person to try that? Who's like, trust me, this will work, and then like,
and it doesn't. Yeah.
Unless they did it in like one of those like big air tunnels that they.
Yeah.
It's the only place I can think you could do that safely instead of just, I'm gonna jump off this cliff and see if it works.
Yeah. So then they land on a boat. They have just perfect accuracy with these fucking wingsuits.
And she always knows someone.
It's always
everywhere.
Fucking someone.
No, there's never, even when like the one time she doesn't know someone and she gets to that family there, they're all like nice and like, yeah, you can come in. I'm watching SpongeBob, one of the best episodes of SpongeBob at that, and you're gonna come in and interrupt with your crazy technology, and then you open an orb that like shoots light and shows animals and shit, and that's when they learn it's in Africa. That's how it was. Sorry, it wasn't a square.
Right.
They did find a square though. Somewhere at some point they looked at a square, but they were trying to put
that led
them
to like the mountain, like the top of the mountain or whatever.
Yeah.
So then she's like, but oh yeah, and this is where he doesn't want to send her the thing that she would then be able to see it, and she's like, why? Just do it. He's like, okay, just because obviously he's being held up.
Yeah, and I'll say before that, Gerard and Angelina, you think about to have like hot steamy sex. And then she locks him up, and he thought it was in like some sort of kink shit, and nope. Unfortunately, sorry, Gerard, you have to sit on this boat and scream for help, and hopefully someone hears you and can pick locks. That's my always question every time someone like does that to someone. Like, I want to know what happens after that.
Right.
Like, how long was he sitting there? Does he pee his pants because he's sitting there so long? Does he starve? I don't. But clearly, it wasn't that long because he is like. Maybe like 10 hours behind her and eventually comes to save the day, but then not really save the day, but just being a nuisance and then dies.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's time to go to Kilimanjaro. Of course she knows a guy there. He's one of the people that's quote unquote civilized because he has a car. And she lands...
she appears out of the sky and I'm like, Where is she getting all these
How
planes
many...
and like
Exactly.
why does it have to be so dramatic? Why can't it could just cut to her being like picked up at the airport like a normal person? No, I'm flying out of the goddamn sky. That's when I knew she was Elon Musk. She's like, no, I'm gonna make this as elaborate and insane and cool as possible. And I'm like, no, you could just take your private jet that we know you have. You don't need to jump out of it. You can just land at the airport. Come on, bro.
Elon Musk fanboys are obnoxious because they love the just toss away money and the lol the memes.
The flamethrowers.
You know what would make them 10 times worse? These male fans of Elon Musk? If Elon Musk was a woman like Lara Croft and was hot, because then they would simp the fuck out of her. You know what I mean? It would be just 10 times worse. These fucking losers, you know. But unless she says anything about video games, then obviously then it's all off because women can't say anything about video games. Meanwhile, he can be like Zerg and be like, "Oh my god, this guy plays StarCraft" or whatever. Like,
or he did a cyberpunk joke, and I'm like, "Bro, you have no reason to talk about crunch and get out of here, bro."
God, your fucking parents had blood emerald mines. Your family was yeah. You're
That's for a different episode. Our Elon Musk hate episode we'll do in the future.
Well, I'm projecting some of that hate on Lara Croft here.
That's what I'm saying. She is like at this scene. I'm just like, oh my god. Actually, like I get you're trying to make her cool this entire movie, but like now it's just getting insane. You had a submarine. She rode a shark. She has a plane, I guess, that she drops out of. She has one that she can crash into the side of a mountain for fun.
Because she didn't bother learning how to land it, probably.
Do you have someone come and clean that up, or do you just leave it there for the poor community?
No, she leaves it. Exactly. Poisoning their fucking fishing lake.
It's probably like one of the few lakes that has fresh water in it.
There's, like, gasoline and shit in that plane. There's fuel that's now leaking into the lake. But, fuck these places. They're not Britain. They don't have your money. She has more money than any of these countries. It's just, like, combined.
It seems that way.
Yeah,
she lands in the car, and then the dude's like, "Yo, what's up, fam? Welcome back, I guess." And they go to this village that's protecting or like gatekeeps at least people.
They're doing the right thing and being like, "Hey, the thing that we know, we don't really know what it is because obviously none of them have gone to do it. But like, hey, this seems pretty important because it could kill everyone."
And this is where the plot hole comes back, where she's like, "I need to get in there." I'm like, "Why?"
Because the bad guys are going to get there too. They followed you.
Okay, if you die and they get it, they're clearly not smart enough to fight the shadow beast we see in the future. Or you let them. They didn't know where it was going to be, and you let them there. Once again, drop it. This is before you drop down from that dumb plane of yours into that Jeep. You should have dropped down into the ocean and sunk that shit.
Holy shit.
Game over. Game over. Why are you going there?
We said how the theme of this movie is how she should never get close to anyone because it only makes things worse, and that how she's always right about that. The only reason why she has to lead them to him is because they captured her friend and butler. The only two people in her life that she's close to.
Or then she kills Gerard Butler, who she locked up too. So it's like
the two people again. She was wrong for having these people in her life because you know what I mean. Like that's a weird message to have. Is that can't be the intention?
Rich people has to be shouldn't have friends. Just none. Lock yourself up in a house and never do anything.
Exactly.
Yay, messaging.
You'll need a fucking Castlevania map just to find your way through your mansion. It's like you're playing Metroid. But
So yeah, I guess like that's the reason she has to do it. But she doesn't. She got dropped in the ocean, and like they probably, if they killed your friends, they're probably gonna kill you too. So it's like I don't know. It's just like just a weird situation to be in.
Considering how in any situation where there's action or a challenge or a stressful situation, she overcomes it in a super badass, smarmy-tarmy way. She could have figured out a way of killing them in the village if she wanted. She could have, you know what I mean?
And I like how they're like, "Oh, we'll give you 15 people to come with you," and she's starting to get friends with the one guy.
These dudes have spears. You know the bad guys are going to come in with fucking Uzis and M4s.
Yeah, and they come in and
tell these people to go home.
All of them die, and she's like, "Oh no!" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what happens when you bring the enemy to a peaceful village.
You fucking dumbass.
And then at the end of the day, like, the tribe's like thanking him, like, no, she put you all at risk. You're lucky more of you didn't die.
And she leaves away in a jeep, something that they'll never have. Maybe their culture is like anti-modern world shit. Cool,
like the Amish.
She could still do something for these people with all of her wealth that would still honor them.
Give them a gun.
But what I'm saying is maybe they don't want that, but she could still do something for these people. But no, I saved the world. Isn't that enough for you? And she's like one word away from saying a slur. You know what I mean? Or something insensitive.
But yeah, so we go. They get in a fight.
I hate this movie.
She gets captured, and then it turns into a horror movie. In the very spooky forest, which I like the spooky forest. It just felt out of place.
It's completely out of place.
And then there's shadow monsters, which I will say the CGI looks good for them. Maybe that's where the CGI budget was into the monsters. Because compared to the rocks we saw in the beginning, I was like, this is night and day. I don't know what happened, but then I felt like this felt like the shift from a little bit in Chronicles of Riddick there, where like all of a sudden now like it doesn't matter because there's these giant monsters and we have to like figure this out. But it was short lived. But I'm like,
yeah,
those monsters, that whole scene, I'm like, could have just been in a whole other movie. Like, I'm like, that's something I saw on the Sci-Fi Channel.
And it was just very basic. Oh, they can't see, so it's just the motion that they hear. And these are supposed to be protecting the cradle of life. Fuck off. Which, by the way, has like anti-gravity shit, or it's like an MC Escher painting.
I think it's the opposite of anti-gravity. It's like super gravity, but not like so hard that like your bones are crushed or whatever.
Gravity everywhere,
but just like everything sticks.
Yeah.
And you can, like, walk on the ceiling.
In any case, Pandora, apparently when she opened the box, cried tears of acid, of black acid, which is where the box sits. And that's where we have our three-way showdown. It's boring. Suffice it to say, they both die, except, obviously, Lara Croft is the victor. And she seals the box back up and walks away.
She, like, briefly opened it, and there was, like, some angelic music playing and light, and then she's like, nah. I'm like, you better not open it after you just killed Gerard Butler, who wanted to open it. He's like, let's open it and take it, and we win. And I'm like, then you have to kill him. And I'm like, okay. And then I guess the orb's gone. Once you put it in that hole, is the door to this world always there?
Oh, yeah, the orb was a key, wasn't it?
Yeah, like the door is still open, right? So it's like this phenomenon. Is this going to be open for the rest? Like, someone's going to find that eventually, right?
I love the idea that the black ooze isn't actually just a constant puddle, but something that keeps seeping from the box. So it's eventually, since they opened it up, it's just going to seep into Africa.
It's like a fountain at a mini golf course. It's just there constantly. But, like, the world, like, how she got into there was throwing
She dunked a
basketball in there.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming it's still open.
Yeah, exactly.
Permanently. So like, someone's gonna find that. That's gonna be on Google Maps. Someone's gonna be like, "Yo, we need to go there," or it's gonna pop up on the news eventually, or like some YouTube vlogger is gonna fall into it or something like that.
Again, without turning into the fucking nitpicking fucking YouTube morons. We're a different type of YouTube moron, but like the, you know what I mean, type of YouTube, movie critics. We're barely critics, but like. That's a forest. It's not a cave. You fly over that shit, then you avoid the shadow monsters. Sorry. Just do that next time.
Yeah. I just think it's funny. Like, I like the idea that, like, there's just this open portal to, like, something that's never been seen anywhere on Earth. Just open now for the public. And the only people who guard it are just these villagers whose only weapons are shields and spears.
No, eventually
you know some rich.
Don't worry, Devin. Clearly, they have a meteorite from space that gave them the strongest metal in the universe, and they're gonna be fine, right?
Hopefully.
Then the movie just ends, right? She just goes home.
No. Well, as they're going, her friends are getting married off, and they're like, "No, we can't do that." Ha ha.
Yeah, that's the
haha other cultures, and then we get in the jeep.
It's not only is it haha other cultures. It's haha. Basically, haha, the blacks are trying to make us gay. Like it's like a triple. Like what the fuck?
Well, I didn't know if they were getting married
them
together or they were getting married to like women in their tribe. They didn't really make it clear, but regardless, it's just,
I thought it was they were marrying. It was a joke that the tribe was doing and marrying the two of them to each other.
Oh, I don't know. Whatever. It's still just
it was
lazy. And then they drive off, and then
I'm trying to think. This is the end of the Angelina Jolie and Lara Croft universe. So how do they end her world? How do they wrap that up? Clearly, they probably wanted to make another movie. They wanted to leave it open like that. But how does it end? Actually, you know what? I think I have HBO Max still open. How does this?
I'm pretty sure it just ends with them driving off in the sunset. Legit. I think that's in the Jeep.
Oh, whatever. She probably dies, and then that's it.
No, she goes on her next adventure that kills people.
Eventually, we'll watch the new Tomb Raider movie, and I know it's based off the reboot of the game that's 7 years old, but Tomb Raider itself just needs a reboot now. Like, the new games are like... It's hard to explain, but they're just more like world-ending. She goes to another like ancient civilization, and it's the world's ending. That kind of shit over and over again. It should just be more. I don't want to say be like Uncharted, but be more like she can just be a cool badass that needs to go on crazy things to save the world.
Uncharted
from
had a
people.
couple like world-ending scenarios. Like
yeah,
Joe
sure.
Schmo got the power of the gods of the Aztecs or whatever it was, that he can live forever, and there's implications to that.
Yeah. They eventually walked away from that, but they're like the old games and these movies portray her as a superhero, essentially. The new games, I'm assuming the new movie based off of it, treat her as a vulnerable survivor, right? There can be a middle ground, and neither of them have to include like pillaging and destroying current civilizations.
And there's already ethical issues, possibly destroying old artifacts in archaeology, with that. But it's even worse when it's like currently people living here,
right?
And we're just basically bombing them, or it's just there's like something that just needs to happen. I don't know, but hopefully the reboot is good, because they're making a sequel, right?
Yeah, well, so the sequel to the reboot of the Tomb Raider movie universe, Tomb Raider 2, we'll just call it, was supposed to come out 2021, this year. But unfortunately, it's been delayed indefinitely due to COVID-19. As of the time of this recording, we're actually recording this in December. But as of right now, other movies just got pushed. But this said indefinitely, in a way, suggested to me that there's actual issues with the filming, issues with production.
There's a chance it might not happen at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or if it does, it'll be 5 years down the line. Everyone will be like, "Wait, what? What?
Why don't you just reboot it again?" But then they have a Spider-Man situation. So yeah, who knows? I am never against more video game movies. I am definitely not against sequels to video game movies, because I like the idea of one being deemed successful enough to warrant a sequel, so that they can continue ideas in the first one instead of just leaving dead ends all the time. But the Prince of Persia movie felt like it had a dead end. The Assassin's Creed movie had a dead end. like they expect it to go on. Nope, it's just gone. It's just done.
Yeah.
And then they're going to reboot it one day, because obviously Assassin's Creed still sells tens of millions yearly. They're going to make a new movie about it. Is that going to be a dead end too? So I'm excited for the future of the Tomb Raider franchise in terms of its movies.
This is like a weird side tangent, but it's interesting that I'm trying to remember how big Angelina Jolie was. I feel like at this point she was pretty well known.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm thinking about it now, like with Sonic and Detective Pikachu, we didn't have really, besides Jim Carrey, but he wasn't even like the main character in it, but he was the main villain. But like all these newer ones don't have like these mainstream actors as much.
Ryan Reynolds was Pikachu.
Fuck.
Ryan Reynolds was Pikachu.
Never mind. Take it back.
That's what sold the movie.
Take it back. I take it back.
But no, I mean, they sold Angelina Jolie's sex appeal for the movie.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds ain't showing Pikachu.
They were doing the old video game thing of like, sex, guns, and
tigers.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just like that's the difference now. Like now they're focusing like, oh, we have to actually make like it fun. Because this movie was like had, I guess, a couple fun moments, but I don't think the movie is fun.
I had more fun watching this than watching Assassin's Creed.
True, Assassin's Creed was just,
and I hate this movie because I hate the idea about it.
Which one did you like more, the first Tomb Raider or this one?
First one. I liked the assault on the mansion. I liked that. I like that scene.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this,
and I think her having a personal story about her father makes her way more interesting of a story. It wasn't great,
but it was still better than
she had growth.
There was nothing to drive her besides just, I'm cool.
Exactly. This felt like they ran out of ideas. Like I never want to say the writers were bad or they, you know what I mean? That's not nice to say.
There's also a lot of things too, like at
some
the
of these
time,
people probably
like,
wrote good things.
This is what probably sold the first one, so like why are they going to try to change it?
But it felt like they ran out of ideas for how they do anything with this character.
Maybe because the character herself isn't
interesting. Well, that goes back to the writing.
I'm saying it even goes back to the video games.
At the time, for sure. So anyway, yeah, that was Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life. The long-ass title. I think it's our longest title.
Lara Croft,
Womb Raider. It's our longest title
Cradle
of any of the films we watched. It's even longer than Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, and Final Fantasy.
I will say, though, at least one benefit is it did feel like it went by quicker than Prince of Persia and the first one. The first one dragged. So at least I'll give it one good thing is that it at least went by quick and didn't feel like 2 hours.
I will still also say this movie is better. I think I liked it better than Assassin's Creed, and it's definitely better than The Spirits Within. So
I mean, everything's better than The Spirits Within. Until something would have to be just outrageously bad. Like it'd have to be. I don't know if
there's a few.
Mario Brothers might be it. We haven't watched that one yet, but that one might be it. But that might be a good bad. This Spirits Within was just fundamentally.
We have movies on this list like Dead or Alive, and the Tekken movie.
Those
that
might be
stupid. Might be
terrible. But I don't know. I hope. I don't want Spirits Within to be bad, but I kind of do because I just like the idea of like that. Like one of the first ones we watch is one of the worst things we'll ever watch.
Yo, man! Eventually, we're gonna watch Advent Children, and I'm just gonna gush over this movie. It sucks. It's better than Spirits Within. It sucks, but it's such a. I love
Spirits
that movie.
Within is just a bad animated film that should have been on Sci-Fi.
It's
at
just
like 8 a.m. where no one should have watched it.
Yeah. Like, hey, let's cast all of the wrong people for these roles. Besides, I guess Ming-Na was fine for her character, but like, let's not talk about that movie either. In any case, we'll see you next week for another episode of the Sonic Movie Show. Tweet at us at Sonic Movie Show how much you liked The Cradle of Life, if you watched it, and do you like
Tomb Raider?
Whatever, just goodbye.
You like Tomb Raider? Oh, you're not gonna plug anything else?
Oh yeah, we're on Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. Like I said, I'm on Twitter at. I almost said your Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely. Devin is on Twitter at CURSONA YouTube. Let us know how you liked about the movie. We're on
Rate
podcast
5 stars,
services.
Subscribe, share with your friends.
Yeah,
share with your mother.
Do all that shit. But though, if you do like listening to us talk about movies, we do another series called The Chronicles of Diesel, where we talk about Vin Diesel movies.
Talk about sex appeal.
Filmological order. Filmological order is not the correct term. But I'm tired. It's midnight. Goodbye again.
Lara Croft signing off. I feel like that's something she would say.